All right, welcome to This Explainer. Today we're diving into a theory about ice hockey that is, well, it's pretty out there. So I want you to forget everything you think you know about frozen ponds and kids playing shinny, because where we're going is a whole lot weirder. This one sentence from a paper called The Highland Chill is the whole key. It basically argues that everything we know about hockey is wrong. It's not a game, it's a memory, a kind of echo of a desperate fight for survival. You know, the official story is that hockey just kind of evolved from other stick and ball games, right? But the source material for this whole thing says, no way, that's logically impossible. See, evolution takes small, sensible steps. And, well, as you're about to see, there is absolutely nothing sensible about hockey.
I mean, really think about it for a second. You are balancing on literal knives, on a surface so cold it can be lethal, while using advanced composite weapons to smash a hard rubber disc at over 100 miles an hour. Does that really sound like something that just happened organically? Or does it sound like something that just appeared, fully formed from somewhere else entirely?
And that's what leads us to this pretty radical theory. It says hockey wasn't invented at all, it was introduced. And it happened on a very specific date, March 3rd, 1875, when a group of time travelers basically just showed up out of thin air in Montreal.
And here's the thing. This one theory, the Caledonian displacement theory, suddenly provides this elegant explanation for all of hockey's weirdest qualities. These weren't just any time travelers, they were soccer players from the future, and they were on the run from a world that had banned their favorite sports, anything that used gravity.
Okay, so the timeline here gives us two huge pieces of the puzzle. First, the motive. In the year 2245, something called the Great Gravity Ban happens, forcing all sports into these zero-G stadiums, which obviously made some people furious. And that leads to the arrival. A soccer team, get this, called the Glasgow Galacticos finds a temporal rift and boom, they escape, right into a time and place where gravity and friction are very, very real. So this is where it gets really fun. According to the theory, the equipment we see in hockey today isn't what we think it is. It's all just misunderstood, broken, malfunctioning future tech that these travelers brought with them.
And this is a perfect example. In their time, the ball wasn't a puck. It was a hovering, glowing drone. But of course, when they get to the 19th century, there's no wireless charging grid, so the batteries died. Instantly, the drone just collapses into this dead rubber weight. So the slap shot? It's not a shot. It's a desperate subconscious attempt at percussive maintenance, smacking a piece of tech to try and get it working again.
And what about those huge, bulky pants? Yeah, they didn't start out as pants. Originally, the players wore these things called smart kilts, a kind of futuristic armor that would stiffen on impact. But the tech failed in our atmosphere. So, after a really brutal winter in 1883, they had to adapt. They just sewed their kilts shut and stuffed them with padding to try and mimic that protection they'd lost.
You know, the role of the enforcer, the goon, is pretty much unique to hockey. And this theory explains it with genetics. Turns out, the time travelers didn't just bring players. They brought their security detail, genetically modified bouncers. And that incredibly powerful DNA is why enforcers still play a role, unlike anyone else in sports.
Okay, this might be my favorite part. The theory finally explains why goalies are so weird. It's because they aren't descended from the players. They're descended from AI goalkeeper units. Their consciousness got uploaded into human bodies, but there are still glitches. You see them talking to the posts? That's the AI desperately trying to connect to the stadium Wi-Fi. All that twitching and the rituals, just software buffering. And the butterfly style? That's a leftover mechanical blast shield protocol. It all makes sense now.
So let's jump ahead to the modern NHL. Because if this is all true, it suggests the league isn't really a sports organization. It's a containment facility, basically designed to manage the descendants of these temporal refugees.
You know that machine that cleans the ice? That's not a Zamboni. According to the theory, it's the stripped-down chassis of the original time machine. Have you ever wondered why an entire arena full of people gets completely mesmerized watching it just go in circles? It's because the machine is still emitting a low-level hypnotic radiation, keeping anyone from asking too many questions. And get this, the very structure of the original 6 teams maps directly to the different sections of the time traveler's ship. Montreal is the command module. Toronto, well, they're the perpetually broken engineering hall. Boston is the armory, where they kept the enforcers. Detroit is the engine room, and so on. The league isn't a random collection of teams. It's a schematic of a spaceship.
Which brings us to what might be the most startling conclusion of the whole theory.
You know the recent trend of these huge outdoor games, like the Winter Classic? Yeah, that's not about nostalgia. It's something way more desperate.
They're not just playing a game. They are performing a ritual. They're trying to recreate the exact conditions of their arrival. The bitter cold, the outdoor stadium, the old-school uniforms, all in a desperate attempt to signal for extraction. They are trying to go home.
And that leaves us with one final and kind of chilling question. Is the NHL Commissioner Gary Bettman actually a temporal agent? Was he sent from the future to manage the stranded refugee population and make absolutely sure they can never, ever return? It's something to think about the next time you watch a puck drop.